Hi, and welcome to the first video in computation with decimals and fractions. In this video, we're going to be looking at how to add decimals. So let's take a look. When we add decimals, it's just like adding whole numbers together. Here I have two examples. On the left-hand side, I have whole numbers, and on the right-hand side, I have decimals. Both questions use exactly the same numbers, so let's take a look at the difference in the answers. When I add the far right column, first of all, 4, 1, and 9, I get 14, carry the 1. 1 plus 1 plus 7 plus 3 gives me 12, carry the 1. And so 1 plus 5 plus 2 plus 1 gives me 9. I was doing quick additions there, but you can take your time to add those together if you want. But the answer is 924. Let's take a look at the decimals now. Make sure in your answer that the decimal point lines up with the other decimal points in the question above. Now I'm going to do my first column. 4, 1, and 9 is still 14, so I'm still going to put the 4 down and carry the 1. 1, 1, 7, and 3 is still 12, so I'll write the 2 down and I'll carry the 1. And 1, 5, 2, and 1 is still 9, giving me 92.4. There is a difference between these two answers by a factor of 10. The answer on the left, 924, is 10 times as big as the number on the right, 92.4. The decimal point makes a lot of difference to the answer. Let's take a look at a more difficult question. Here I'm asked to find the total of 57.1, 4.131, and 9.89. What makes this difficult is that it's a worded question. We have to know that the word total means to add. And we also see three different numbers, all with decimals, but all with different number of decimal places after each decimal point. When we do the working out for this question, we need to make sure our decimal points are all in order. That way I can write the number 57.1, 4.131, and 9.89 and still have all the place values lining up. I could put zeros in at the end of each number so that all my numbers have the same number of digits after the decimal point, as this doesn't change the value or the size of each of my numbers. It's just good to help us line up the digits. I could also draw columns in so that I have my ones in my ones column, my tens in my tens column, and so on. It does help with lining up the numbers. But what's really important is that your answer has this decimal point directly underneath the other decimal points. So let's take a look at adding up these three numbers by looking at the far right column to start off with. This 1 is all by itself, so I'm adding 1 to nothing and getting 1. In my next column, I'm adding 3 and 9 together. This gives me 12, so I'll put 12 down in that column and 1 in the column previous. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 8 gives me 11. I'm going to carry the 1 in the previous column. 1, 7, 4, and 9 gives me 21. So I'm going to put a 1 in the ones column and I'm going to carry 2 in the tens column. Now 2 and 5 gives me 7. So the total of those three numbers is 71.121. I went through that pretty quickly. Feel free to go back and pause it and slow down so that you fully understand how to add those three numbers together. So what should you be writing? Well, a heading of adding decimals is always a good start, as well as the two examples that I went through in the video. And that's it. Hopefully now you should be able to add the decimals like you would any other whole numbers, and don't forget to line up those decimal points. Good luck.